All righty. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think you guys can hear me. We're doing this a little bit different. Oh, no, hang on. Yeah, there we go. Okay. We are doing this a little bit different than we've done this before, guys. If you've joined us before, it's great to see all you. Adelia's here. A bunch of other fun participants are here. We're doing this a little bit different because, long story short, I'm recording this one. And I didn't want to be distracted by all of your beautiful faces on the sideline. So thank you for your patience with me as we work through this a little bit. Very good. I'm just going to stall a little bit longer so we can see if a few more people are interested in joining us. And I was going to try and move my screen a little bit more too, just so I could, play this game a little bit. How's that? Okay. Awesome. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody having fun today? Yay. Glad to hear it. So something very interesting, just FYI, I've just been percolating with information. It has literally been bubbling out of me, and I have had to, at times, just slow down. I have a brand new journal that I'm writing in, and I'm really excited about that. It's just like I've been consuming really good stuff, and it's helped me create good stuff. And so, to be honest with you, this is hilarious. Like, I'm one of these people who is trying to give this presentation, and I really normally dislike it when I use my own notes. Like, I'm having a moment where I'm kind of like, oh shoot, I don't I normally don't use notes, but today I am going to use notes because I don't want to miss out on anything. Okay. Miss Gail, you are gorgeous today, but I'm going to stop your video just because, hi, it's good to see you. I'm going to stop your video just because it's going to distract me from what I'm already mad at myself for. And it shouldn't be that way. Like, I need to just stop, right? Like, okay, it's just fine. I can use notes if I want to. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. All right. So appreciate you guys joining us today. I do know that some other folks were letting me know that they were going to have to join a little bit later. And if I were smart, I think I would be smart enough to figure out how to actually make sure that other people don't have video or other videos. I thought I did that, but maybe I was wrong. That's okay. Oh, well. All right. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you can hear me. I'm rocking and rolling. We're just going to go ahead and jump to the deep end. So here's the deal. Today we're going to talk about exposing your core, and that's a good thing. This is not a bad thing. And we're also going to talk about the social media tricks and the hacks and all of the mindset stuff around that allowed me to grow Pageant Junkies to 25,000 people. So let's start with the core because it actually works into what you're going to be able to do for social media. So when I say exposing your core, thank goodness we're not doing that literally, because I don't want anybody to see my actual core. I'm pointing to my stomach right now. Not fun for me. I don't want to do that. However, what I'm referring to is the core of you, right? The internal person that you are that doesn't ever change. And here's what I'm saying. Too many times circumstances come into our lives and all of a sudden we kind of shift towards the circumstances, right? Something happens and we're like, oh, we need to put our attention here. Okay, that's fine. The things that we do can move towards a certain circumstance in order to be able to understand it better or to cope, or maybe somebody just really needs our help in the moment. These are not problems. What I'm talking about is who you are regardless of the circumstances around you. Okay? Who is, if you want to call it your core identity, that's really the question that I'm asking today. And your core identity is never going to be determined by something that's external. Okay? It's not what your parents said about you. It's not what your bank account says about you. It's not what the job is that you do. It's not what other people who are talking about you say. None of these things are part of your core identity. Your core identity is what you say about you. It has nothing to do with anything going on in the external. So it has to do with how you see yourself. It has to do with the decisions that you make. It has to do with the way in which you believe who you are shows up in the world. Now, here's what I mean by this. If you had all of your external circumstances taken away, would you be the person that you believe that you still are. Let me give you an example of this. If I picked you up and I dropped you in a foreign country and you know nobody, you have absolutely no bearing of where you are, nobody knows you, you don't speak the language, you just have no concept of anything that you've ever had before. What are the things that are true about you in the middle of a foreign country when all of your circumstances have changed, that are still true about you when you stand inside your home? That can be a really difficult question for some people. Some people, they might say, okay, I am kind. I am kind. That's great. If that's who you really are, if you are kind, then fantastic. The problem is, if you are only kind in certain circumstances, then that doesn't count, right? Like if you are only kind when you're in the right mood or when somebody treats you the correct way, if you're not kind all the time and you know that at your core, then don't tell yourself that I'm kind. Like that can't be an identity if it is dependent upon what's going on around you. Okay. So the question then becomes, what's true about you regardless of your current circumstances? I'm going to tell you how I came to discover this. The truth is, I knew this since I was 14 years old. I wasn't able to articulate it till I was about 2021, but what I was at 14 and when I was able to articulate it at 20, and today, as I stand here in front of you as a 40 something, it's the exact same thing. This is what I know is true about myself, regardless of what's happening in the world, whether there's a global pandemic, whether there's an economic turndown, whether there is happiness and peace, whether my bank account is full or whether it is empty. These are the things that are true about me. I am a leader. I am a communicator. And I am a hog farmer's daughter. Okay, now calm down. I'm going to get to the hog farmer's daughter part. Okay, here's what I mean. As a leader, I'm going to be a leader wherever I go. I just know it. It is something that is intrinsic inside of me that I couldn't get rid of if I tried. And if I do try to get rid of it, if I like try and push it aside or I'm not going to lead somewhere somehow, it always shows itself. It just does because I am a leader. That's what happens. I am a communicator. I understand the fundamentals of communication. Do you guys know that like 60, I'm trying to remember what, I think like 67% of all communication is actually non-verbal. The way that you show up, the way that you use these non-verbals, the way that you do cues, the way that you just are who you are says so much more about your communication than the actual words that you use. If this wasn't true, then you wouldn't be able to read into things like a newspaper or a blog or a post and hear the tone that the person's taking. It's 100% true. I communicate through words. I communicate through podcasts. I communicate through writing. I communicate right here through video. I will always find a way to communicate to people because I feel like it is a skill that I have honed. Oh, now, if you drop me in a foreign country, this is always the first thing that I end up doing is I find out in the native language, and some of you guys do this, this isn't like unique to me. I find out in the native language, what is thank you? What is please? What is hello? What is good morning? What is good evening? Like I try to find about a dozen phrases that I can say to the cabbie or that I can just use when I'm walking down the street or to, right, the person at the restaurant or whatever it is, because I want to communicate. It's the core of who I am. And the third thing I told you about is that I'm a hog farmer's daughter. Now, here's what that means. Because some of you might look at that and go, hold it, that's a circumstance that's dependent on what your family does. Okay, well, technically, yes, that is true. But for me, the phrase hog farmer's daughter represents a whole lot more than the technicality of me standing somewhere. In fact, that's actually the whole point. If you saw me standing in a farm next to my farmer father, who is still working on the same farm that he worked at 40 years ago, then that's great. That's part of who I want you to see when I say that phrase. But in reality, it's more than that. It's that I am an unexpected contender. It's that I am a surprise stereotype breaker. It's that you're not going to necessarily know that part about me until you see me and get to know me and learn other things about me first. And then I'm going to swoop in and kind of throw you a curveball. Okay. That's what hog farmer's daughter means to me. Does it also mean that I'm hardworking? Yes, it does. Does it also mean that I value family? Yes, it does. But in the truest sense of that phrase, those are the three things that I feel like really, really represent me. I'm always going to be a leader. I will always be a communicator. I will always be a hug farmer's daughter. I'm going to be somebody who's underestimated. I'm going to be an underdog that can come in and surprise the heck out of you. So those things don't change about me, and they haven't changed about me since I was 14. And I'm asking you if you can figure out what three things might represent you at your core that you can come up with that haven't changed throughout the course of your life. Now, if you don't have the ability to be able to just come up with something right now, that's okay. Because here's the deal. You get to think whatever you want. It's not dependent upon your circumstances. Like, just because I can't see, if I couldn't see tangible evidence, and I've gone through phases of my life where you can't see tangible evidence where I'm not leading, it doesn't mean I'm not a leader. If I go through and I can't see, like, oh my gosh, I'm just not communicating, or oh my gosh, I am not surprising anyone right now, it doesn't matter. I know it's in me, and I know that that's gonna happen. It's gonna come out. It doesn't change just because I can't see tangible evidence of it. So what ends up happening is that somebody will say, and we do this all the time, right? We'll say, so my teacher accidentally said this one time. My parents used to always tell me, blah, blah, blah. I had a friend or a boyfriend or a whoever who one time said, yada, yada, yada. And then we put it on ourselves as our label, and we accept it. And because maybe at the time it was true, right? Maybe at the time somebody said, you're selfish. And you just kind of were like, oh, yeah, I was selfish. Well, to be honest with you, the word selfish can mean a whole lot of different stuff. Like let me give this example to you. What I'm saying is the word selfish doesn't necessarily have to be terrible. You don't have to beat yourself up with that word, because words are just words until we assign meaning to them. And I just explained that with Hog Farmer's Daughter, right? You may not have those words representing Hog Farmer's Daughter, but I do, and that's what counts. So I was thinking about this morning. So a simple phrase like, I'm just going to say a phrase. You ready? He's leaving. He's leaving. That phrase can conjure up so many different thoughts, right? The phrase he's leaving is very neutral. And the reason why that's neutral is because 1,000 different people can have 1,000 different thoughts about what the phrase he's leaving means. I'll give you an example. For a little kid to think he's leaving, maybe that's dad who's leaving and going to work and I'm going to miss him. For someone to think he's leaving, it could be my teenage son and he's going out the door and I am scared to death about whatever he's about to do. For the phrase he's leaving, it could be my 30-year-old child who is about to move out of the house. Finally, he's leaving. This also could, there are lots of things. It could represent like a divorce situation, right? Like, okay, he's chosen, he's leaving. It could represent a death. It could represent anything. The phrase itself is neutral. What you think about the phrase is what counts. So this is where I implore you, if you have 3 to 5 things, because there are probably a couple of other things that I might add about myself, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. You have 3 to 5 things that you could say about yourself at your core that you interpret in a way that is serving to you, then by all means, get that stuff inside of you and find out if there's something else in there that is not representative of you that you've been thinking for a long time. Again, with the phrase, I'm selfish. Okay, I'm selfish can mean, oh, I took something from somebody else. Or I'm selfish could mean, I am reserving this time for a little bit of self-care right now, right? Like whatever resonates and feels right to you in your core is what you get to think about yourself. It doesn't matter what I think of you. It doesn't matter what someone else said about you once upon a time ago. It only matters as to what is inside of you and what you can say will be true regardless of your circumstances. Okay, now let me give you one last thing. I'm totally off script here, so apparently I didn't really need this as much as I thought I did. Just because something is true doesn't mean that it's serving you well. Here's what I mean about that. Have you met those people who had something so wounding to them happen so very long ago, but the way they say it, it sounds like it still happened yesterday? So maybe it's I lost a child. Maybe it's my parent has passed away. I got a divorce, something like that. Have you ever talked to these people who say a phrase like that and it actually sounds like it happened maybe a couple of weeks ago? It's because it's true, but the loop in their head has been playing it over and over and over and over. And if it's serving to say, I lost a child, because the reason it's serving is because you get to help other women who have lost children. Okay, fantastic. But if it's not serving you, if you have a thought that's going on in your mind that you're like, why do I keep beating myself up about this? You get to change it. You get to make the words mean whatever you want them to mean. And just because something is true, it doesn't mean that you have to keep repeating itself to you over and over and over again if it's not serving you. So here's the point. If I come to a place where I decide that being a leader is no longer serving me, I'm going to stop saying it to myself. So for example, here's what this means. I can't just walk into a place and just be somebody who just follows. Sooner or later, I'm going to rise. Sooner or later, I get elevated. Sooner or later, I end up leading something wherever I am. That's just what happens. If I decide that I don't want to be in those situations anymore, I won't get that byproduct because I won't keep telling myself it's the truth. If I decide that I don't want to surprise anybody anymore, that I don't want to be an unexpected contender, if I decide that that's not something like you think that's a good thing until all of a sudden it is zing, and I'm like, I didn't know that about myself. Oh, well, it's because I tell myself that I'm an unexpected surprise stereotype breaker. Why wouldn't I expect that to actually manifest itself? That's what I am at my core. That's who I tell myself I am. Okay. You get to choose. And this isn't necessarily as much about finding who you are and navel gazing or some of that kind of fun stuff, as much as it is you creating whoever it is that you want to be. Okay? Core. Who are you when your circumstances are completely gone? Okay, let's move on to some social media fun, unless there's something else that I missed here real quick. Yeah, that'll work. I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that in the future if you like. You're definitely going to need a pen and paper for this next part. So if you don't already have one in front of you, I encourage you to find something right now that you can write some things down on, because this is meat. This is chunks. There's a lot going on here that we're going to talk about when it comes down to social media. Okay. The way I've begun this is the concept of knowing your niche. And I guess I'm looking at this from a standpoint of the fact that if you want to grow your social media following, if you want to sell to people online, if you want to expand your level of influence with the people that you currently have, then this is that kind of training. Okay, that's where we are. So when you know your niche, you're going to be able to do all those kinds of things. So the question is, what is a niche? Niche, 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 whatever you want to say. I'm going to probably say it 4 or 5 different ways throughout this call. So your niche is small. It is a target that you are looking to hit. It is a specified group that you are marketing towards. It is something that you naturally attract, ideally the first time around. Okay? Something that you get and you understand. It's also a group of people that you can serve particularly well. So if you are somebody who says our niche is helping small businesses, we help small businesses grow. Okay, it's a niche in the fact that you have identified small businesses, you have identified small business owners, you have identified the benefit, which is helping them grow. However, the problem with that is that I would say that 80 or 85 or 90% of the people out there who have a small business are thinking to themselves, I help small business owners grow. It's not specific. And if too many people can say it, it's not really a very good niche. So I work with this through, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how we did this with Pageant Junkies. So for me, my niche with Pageant Junkies was not just women, right? Because I could just start there. It wasn't just women who liked pageants, because I could leave it at that. it wasn't just women who liked Miss pageants, because trust me, there are teen pageants and Mrs. pageants and there are Ms. pageants, all kinds of fun stuff like that. Like, I kept going until I was able to narrow my niche all the way down to women who loved and participated in the Miss America pageant. Because you got to have both of those things in my niche. You had to have both. So the reason why I was able to do that and hone in so incredibly tightly is because the name of my organization was Pageant Junkies. So I'm going for the deep end of the pageant pool, so to speak, right? I'm going for people who are semi-obsessed and have this uncontrollable urge, this thing, this hobby that they go for, and it's called Miss America. So talk about a very narrowed niche. And I understand that some of you may not quite understand that because you're like, oh, it's pageants and it was Miss America. Well, here's the deal. I didn't talk about Miss Universe. I didn't talk about Miss USA. I didn't talk about any teen pageants. Frankly, I hardly talked. Miss America has a teen division, and I didn't even cover it until like I'd already been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. So there are all of these different options. And I said, no, I'm going to talk to the people who love Miss America and have participated in it before. Now, here's what I'm going to also show you. I'm going to do one of these screen share things because I learned how to do this the other day. It's very exciting. Sorry for the lighting going in and out. The lighting ends up going in and out because I have real natural light up here. Okay, screen share. Screen share. Here's the deal. If you guys haven't gone to my page before, I'm not going to make you feel bad about it. I just kind of wanted to be able to show you a little bit of how this works. So this is Pageant Junkies. There's a whole bunch of lovely things here, no big deal. What I'm going to do is I'm clicking this About section. And you can see all kinds of things on this, and it's all going to like support the point that I'm going for here. So here's the deal. About the Junkies. Okay, Pageant Junkies, this is a picture of me. And just because you probably don't know it, and it's okay. This is the famed Boardwalk Hall in the background, and it's in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And anyone who loves Miss America can see that I am standing in front of the most iconic location that Miss America has been in over the course of 100 years. Like, they just, you know that. And you know that I've got my arms on a wooden boat that they used to take a lot of pictures with the young ladies with for a long, long time. I am it's like standing next to the Jefferson Memorial or something, right? This is an iconic backdrop for people who love Miss America. They can easily identify it. And then here's what it says. Carrie Lakey, sorry, that's my married name. Carrie Lakey's kind of obsessed with Miss America. So are 25,000 of her closest friends. Together, we're a bunch of junkies who are hopelessly addicted to the Miss America program. And so what ends up happening is I end up writing to these people in a semi-obsessive, slightly neurotic way. And I can do that, A, because I'm a communicator, and B, because I'm a leader, but I wanted to, right? Like, again, I am talking to people who are in the deep end of this pageant pool. So as an avid fan of the Miss America organization, Carrie, almost always also known as Founding Junkie, she began predicting pageant winners by sending emails to her friends over 10 years ago. Before long, those emails were forwarded to additional friends, then friends of friends, then in-laws, cousins, neighbors, and long-lost enemies of friends. And before she knew it, the number of people receiving the list was too difficult to track, which led her to the decision to create an email group. She named the group Miss America Junkies, and the name stuck. And then it just kind of goes on, right? Like, I don't have to write this about page this way, except that I am purposely trying to say, hey guys, I know what I'm doing. And I am looking for those of you who are slightly obsessed with Miss America the same way that I am. Okay, so what's going on is I got in the deep end of this niche, right? That's what I'm doing here, stopping screen sharing. You can go to my page a little bit more if you want to be able to kick around there and see some other examples of things that I've actually done when it comes to how to be able to talk to your niche. What most people get nervous about is that they say, if I actually narrow something in this far, am I going to alienate other people? And the answer is no. This is the analogy I always use. I've already said it 3 or 4 times. I was in the deep end of the pageant pool, but I attracted everybody who was in the shallow end of the pool. I attracted the people who were standing on the outside of the pool. I attracted people who were 20 miles from the pool. Why? Because I spoke to a very specific person. When you try to speak to everybody, you're not interesting enough. Nobody hears you. I don't care that they thought I was slightly neurotic about being the pageant junkie. it's okay. I knew there were other people out there like me. I had no idea how many other people were out there like me, but I did find them because they found me because I went to the deep end of the pool. If you are so benign, almost is the word I want to use there, right? If you're so inclusive to everybody, then you better have a massive marketing budget like Kate Spade, right? Or Williams Sonoma or McDonald's. And even these people have groups that they target and they still hit everybody. The best way to grow a social media following is to have exceedingly tiny, small little niche and to figure out who it is. Okay. Now don't get confused because here's what ends up happening. A lot of you will say, well, my background is in construction, or I am really good with kids and that's my niche. Not exactly. What you're identifying there are things that you are good at, that you're identifying your own skill set. Your niche is actually about who you serve. It's about the people you are targeting. So don't get confused by those two things. You need to make sure that you understand the difference between those two. So in order to do this, we're actually going to walk through this exercise. You guys ready? This is what the pen and paper are for. So at the top of your page, we've got the who, the where. There's the top of the page. I'm looking at my own ceiling. The who, the where, the how, the what, and the why. Who, where, how, what, and why. We would talk about the when, but I'm pretty sure the when is now for all of you, right? You want people to buy your products or join your system or be a part of your business now. So unless you're doing a pre-launch, then that when changes, right? But otherwise the when is now. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk all the way through this to figure out who your niche is. You ready? So the question is, under who, we're gonna start with who do you help? Who do you sell to? Women, men, business owners, children, dogs. Who do you help? Okay, start with the who. The next thing you do is that you need to take it one step further than that. So we're going to start with, all those examples that I just gave. So instead of just sticking with women, let's see if we can get a little bit more specific. Married women? Do you help busy men? CEOs? Children under the age of 12? Seeing eye dogs? So it's one thing to have the first thing of who, and then you take it one step further and find out like a little more of a description about this person. Then you think you've done really well at that point, right? Then you have to take it another step further. You have to add an adjective or see if you can describe it even better with a better word. So here are some of these examples. Female physicians. I know exactly who that is, right? You just conjured up an image of what female physician means to you. How about a feminist? That's a pretty specific word. Widows, divorcees, latchkey children under the age of 12, right? Mature adults. Figure out, go down 3 different layers with your who, because you're not targeting a really good niche until you go all the way down through that process. Now, I'm going to ask you to add one more adjective. And I wrote some of these down because it's very exciting when you start to get at this level, right? Because let's talk about this. Women who love or participated in the Miss America pageant. This is what I'm asking you to get that specific. So this could be something like smart women who are married. CEOs who are worried, overworked. Moms who need a break. Successful business owners who are bored, looking for something else to do or something else to invest in. You've got to have the whole thing. Trust me. You need to get specific with your target or nobody's listening. And you might say to yourself, well, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. I don't want to miss out on all these other people. You don't miss out on the people. I promise. You miss out on the people when you don't talk to anybody, when you are so generic that nobody hears you because you can't cut through the noise. Because the secret is that all these other businesses are already doing this. They're just not telling you. So you have to play the game that they are already good at. Kate Spade is amazing at knowing what bag I might be interested in when I get their email. Right? Like, William Sonoba is fantastic about showing me the kinds of things that my mom would love that I need to buy her for Mother's Day. How do they know that? They have a pretty specific target, and they don't hit me all the time, but trust me, that email, when it comes into my inbox, almost always has a picture of something that hits me. They are playing this game really well. And the reason that you need to play the game the same way is because all of your customers are getting these bombarded messages from brands that are playing the game so well that you need to be able to do the same thing, or you can't cut through the clutter. You just can't. Okay? So there are no right or wrong words around this. You can use whatever you want. You can say dumb women who blah, 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 right? If that's who you want to attract, it's probably because you're going to try and help them understand something better. I don't know if I'd use the word dumb because that might not be serving to your audience, but the concept is you can use whatever words you want. You just need to notice the words. So you don't need to necessarily say, oh, okay, I need to say it in the order that Carrie was saying it, right? Like smart women who are married. You don't need to say that. You can say married women who are smart. Just write down the words in your who line and figure out what that looks like. And I'll give you a secret, like you can do this more than once. You don't have to only do this once, but I highly recommend that you pick one person in the beginning. And then once you have established a clear level of communication and ability to attract that one person, then you can expand to the next one. Okay? All right. So we've done the who. Now we're moving to the where. Where are you most likely to find your ideal client? Is your ideal client probably in Northern Colorado? Is your ideal client in your city? Is your ideal client people that you could talk through throughout the state, or a province, or a jurisdiction, or maybe it's just a county, right? Like we have Lori. Many of you guys know Lori. Like Lori talks. Her magazine talks to a very specific housing division. That's okay. It's great. Some of you are going for a nationwide audience. For me, Pageant Junkies, there was no reason that I couldn't find people nationally. I decided that that's who I wanted to attract, was a national audience. But at the same time, let me give you this example. I decided that I didn't care if people from fill in the blank, France, England, Scotland, China, Australia, I didn't care if any of those people sent me messages because they loved Miss America. In fact, I got messages from places like that. Like I got Facebook followers from places like that, and I did never respond. It was never anything that I was like, oh yes, okay, I have to expand my reach. I really need to consider that. No, I didn't. Not at all. So you have to decide where your audience is, that what you're going for. Okay. Online, the beautiful benefit is that you can do a global audience if you want to. You don't have to. Maybe it doesn't serve you correctly. Figure out where your ideal client, those people that we were just talking about, okay, figure out where your ideal client is located. Very important. So you write that under the where. Okay. Next one. We are now going to shift into stuff about you rather than your customers. Okay. So this is the how. So apart from your business, like if you had to separate your business and someone said you are never allowed to do this again, apart from your business, what are you good at? I'm pausing for purpose right there. Like I need everybody to kind of figure out, apart from your business, what are you good at? Okay. For me, I'm good at leading. I'm good at speaking. I'm good at writing. You might be good at making people laugh. You might be good at taking complex things and making them simple. You might be good at organizing. You might be good at like assessing a situation and being able to employ the right tactics and strategy to be able to move forward. You might be good at randomly making friends in the parking lot. I don't know. What are the things that you are good at outside of your job? This is going to take a little bit of writing in terms of what the how is. Okay. Then I want you to notice, And this may be an exercise that you do a little bit later because we're rolling through this, and I had like 10 sheets I had to go through today. 10 sheets. Whew, and I only got 25 minutes to finish it. So what are you good at outside of your business? And then figure out, are you good at things that tend to be more tasks or more people? Again, there are no right or wrong answers here. You might have a balance of both on your sheet. But see if you can kind of notice if the things that you write down are task-oriented or they're people-oriented. All right? Maybe, again, this is the difference between what we're talking about, right? Like organizing. Okay, well, organizing is a task. Making friends in the parking lot, making friends in the parking lot is people. So let me give you a couple of different examples, like fixing cars, or working with the elderly, or handling a crisis. And I love this. This is a great example, like cooking versus serving, right? So cooking is a task. Cooking is a task. It is something that you do. It requires action. But serving people your food, maybe you love that part more than the cooking. I actually think that's my problem. I don't really enjoy cooking. I enjoy offering people food. So I will cook in order to be able to offer people food, but just notice the difference. So if you write down that you love something, I don't know if it's reading, whatever it is, right? Like which part of it do you enjoy? Do you enjoy the task portion of it, or do you enjoy the people portion of it? Okay. And then we're going to move into, so this is all, that was all under how, right? So you got the who, you got the where, we discussed the when. That was all about the how that we just talked about. So now it's time to go to the what. So the question is, what do you do for people? And I actually think you should probably do this for both your business and in your personal life, or whoever you are apart from your business is the way I mean to say that, right? Whoever you are apart from your business. What do you do for others? I coach them, I teach them, I help them, I work with them on, I do what for people? And don't like finish the sentence, right? Like just say, I help them blank. Like you don't always necessarily have to finish the sentence. You might, but the concept is, where do you feel like you land with just the description word, not with what you actually do? Then you can take it into the next step. Okay. So, so we did this, right? Like I help women feel better. Okay. We're getting somewhere, but that's an awfully long sentence that we have not really targeted a niche yet. You need to get a whole lot more specific than that. And we're going to keep going because the whole point is this is all in a full thing, and I'm going to bring it all back around. We're going to come around the barn here in a second. So we're still at the what. Let me get back. I got a little off track there. My apologies. What do you do for them? I teach them, I coach, I help, I work with, I blah, blah, blah. Now we take it the step further. This is why I have notes. So what you need to do is you need to establish the why. That's where we are now, the why. It'll be a lot easier when I can put this like on a wall back here. Maybe I'll do that next time, stuff that I can write down. All right, so the why is the benefit that these people are going to have when they join you, or when they buy from you, or when they say yes to you. So I'm going to take some of the examples of things that we talked about earlier. Female physicians. I've just become acquainted with a group. I'm not a female physician, trust me. I know one of my best friends, sorority sisters, is. So this is why this example stands out to me. So I just discovered a group of female physicians who have like kind of like a support group of sorts on Facebook. Like it's their own free Facebook group. And it's encouraging for women who are going through the struggles that only a physician understands. Now, I got to tell you, I promise you, sorry, I'm on a rabbit trail now. I promise you that they have a very specific niche that they're talking to. They are either talking to female physicians who have done this for 15 years or more, female physicians who have children, female physicians who yada, yada, whatever it is. It's not just like this random, they might be saying OBGYNs are who we're talking to. I don't know. But this is a Facebook group where everybody can get support from it because they feel like they've been identified for precisely who they are. So we're back to the why. Why do they do that? Because female physicians need support. That's what like triggered me. Okay. Because you go through this, you're taught to self-sacrifice as a physician, right? You go without eating or all these other things while you're in the middle of surgery, or you take care of other people over and over and over again, and you forget to take care of yourself, and you need support from other women who understand that. That's the benefit. That's the why that these people have established for the group that they have created now. So the why could be for you. They earn, I coach them, I help them, I teach them, whatever those things were, right? To earn disposable income. Or maybe it's to stop overeating, over drinking. Maybe it's to realize that they are not alone. The why is something that is the benefit to these people. They can make 6 figures in a year. You get to come up with this stuff. That's what's brilliant. I'm just walking you through all of the examples of what it is to be able to help you find exactly what your niche is. Now, here's the deal. The stronger your benefit, the greater the response you're going to get. And secret number 2, the stronger your benefit, the more you can charge for your product. I'm going to pick on Donna a little bit because she has a great example here. Donna does a lot of different things, but I work with her about selling socks and insoles. And then she's got other things that she has now too. She's got patches. They've got kind of armbands to help concentrate and things like this. The point is that someone could go down to Walmart and they could buy $2 worth of socks. Right, Donna? We've talked about this. Donna's socks don't cost $2. Donna's socks don't cost $20. Donna's socks cost more than that. But why? Because they help reduce pain. They circulate blood flow. They make you feel better. It's incredible what they do. I have several pairs. I can't explain it. It doesn't matter. It just is true. So Donna can charge more than $2 for the socks because the benefit is so good. And people believe her because it's true, because it's intrinsically who she is. So the greater your benefit, the more people who will respond, and the more people, and the more you can charge. Now, here's the problem. Most of us get a little bit nervous and we don't want to be bold in our offers. And I know there are certain things that the SEC or the so-and-so or the licensing commission of the blah, blah, blah won't let you right, say something. I had this insurance agent that I worked with all the time at the radio station. I was pushing him constantly on what I could write in his commercials. And he was like, no, you can't say that. No, because I know that the stronger I can speak and the more specific and the better the claim that I can create, the more response that insurance agent was going to get. And it happened time and time again. So I'm not advocating for you to go over what your limits are and what you're not allowed to say or do, but I am telling you, you have to push yourself. That's why we're going through this entire process. You have got to figure out specifically who it is that you're talking to, what they can get from you, and the why is the benefit of why you want them to participate. So here's a couple of examples. I can clean up your books, like for an accountant, right? Like I can clean up your books and save you thousands of dollars. What are those two sentences? That's pride and that's a fact. Like I can do this. I know that I will be good at this. If you will let me do this for you, I can help you. I can help you clean up your books. And by the way, you're going to save thousands of dollars in taxes because that's just on average what I find. Whenever I work with people, I end up saving them thousands of dollars. Or I can help you eat better, but I can also change your life. I can mold you and shape you into the person that I know you can become. I can introduce you to a community that feels exactly the way that you do. All of these phrases resonate some sort of feeling, right? And passion. And you have to be able to say it, and it has to matter when you say it. Because if it doesn't matter, then keep talking until you find it. And in those phrases right there, I want you to notice that first is the task, and then is the person. I've actually created a sentence that has both, right? I can clean up your books. I can save you thousands of dollars. I can introduce you to a community. It feels the way you do, right? Introduce is a task. A community that you need is a person. If you can incorporate both of those things into a sentence, then again, you're getting a lot closer to who that target niche is, and you're getting a lot stronger with who it is that you're talking to. Okay, so you also have to get these people, like you have to understand them. You can't just be like, hi, I'm going to target dentists. If you know nothing about dentists, I would say that that's kind of a bad idea. Okay. Now, if you want to research and learn everything that you possibly can about dentists, then by all means, go for it. But what you would like to do in that situation is that ideally, if you have already naturally attracted 2 or 3 dentist clients, then you would like to be able to say, it turns out that I actually am pretty good with working with dentists. And here's why. And then you have a couple of testimonials to be able to work with. We're getting to some good stuff here, aren't we? Okay. Oh, here's how you know if you have done a good job. All right. And really who the niche is. So we're going back to the who. Okay. This goes back under the who. Take a look at who you already naturally attract. All of you have customers already. All of you have people right now that you're working with. Who are you naturally attracting? Maybe write down a few names of your best customers and then ask yourself, what do these people all have in common? And go beyond the surface stuff, right? Because you might look at this and be like, oh, I attract all women because Gail's on, Gail makes jewelry. Gail attracts women, but that doesn't mean that men don't buy her products, right? So look and find what are some of the similarities and then try and go a little bit deeper than what you would normally do. So instead of all women, or I work with all business owners, go to moms who work outside the home, moms who work outside the home and have 2 kids or more under the age of 5, right? Like figure this out as low and as deep as you can take it. I am a business owner. Am I a business owner in retail or in services? So I attract business owners. Are they mainly retail people? Are they mainly services people? Are they blue collar or are they white collar? Okay. How many employees do they have? Like try and find some specificity about the people that you're naturally attracting already. Oh, okay. So then what you need to do is you write it down with all those other words that you've been writing down already. Specificity as much as you can kind of come up with it. The only other way that I know to do this is to be a super nerd in what it is that you do. Like if I was a super nerd, and I kind of was a super nerd with Pageant Junkies, and I didn't know anybody, which was untrue because I have family members who have done this for, you know, eons and decades, and my aunt was Miss Kansas and the whole thing. I think some of you know this. Anyway, if I didn't know anybody, but I was a super nerd with Miss America, I could go forth with my super nerdness, believing that it would naturally attract other people. But that's really kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to do. It helps if you can say, these are the people I'm already naturally attracting in my life. Just because I didn't have a lot of pageant friends, right? Like I'm trying to relate that concept back to you. So for some of you guys, this is going to be really, really easy. And for some of you guys, this is going to be like, I don't know how to do this, Carrie. I wrote everything down and I'm just not sure if I'm doing it right. So here's a couple of other little tips and tidbits to be able to take with you. We have 12 minutes and I got to finish this. So naming an industry is good. Like we talked about, like dentists is the example. I used to actually, with my radio teams, tell my sellers, hey, we need a chiropractor on the air. How come we don't have a chiropractor? Our audience could really use a car salesman, because here's what happened. I sold for Christian radio. It was religious radio. And trust me, if there's one thing that a religious radio should be advertising for, it's a pretty honest car salesman or real estate agent or you name it. So my sellers could go out and say, I'm looking for a chiropractor right now and we need one on our radio station because we don't have one. That's actually a pretty good selling tool. That would be like finding a niche for the market that you want to be able to speak to. And to be honest, if you think about other things in terms of like what the grand-ish kinds of thoughts process are here, like the best real estate agents I was told were former like assistants. Former personal assistants are amazing at real estate because they're really good at detail. They're very good at someone else being in charge. They're very good. These are all the reasons why I was not good in real estate. Right? Some of my best radio salespeople were teachers because They knew how to communicate, and that's what you need to be able to do on a radio commercial. And they knew how to be able to talk to a specific industry or type of person. Just worked out that way. All right, so now that you've got all this stuff written down, you've got all these things here. Now we're going back to the beginning of this talk, which was, who are you at your core? Right? Like back it all up and go back to, who are you at your core? So the question is, can you be blank, blank, and blank in your job? Can I be a leader, a communicator, and a hog farmer's daughter with what it is that I'm currently doing right now? My answer is yes. If your answer is yes, awesome, you're doing the right thing. If your answer is no, we really need to consider whether or not you're in the right position, because you need to be able to do something that allows you to come out of your core and affect what it is that you're doing on a daily basis. Like, spoiler alert, everything can, because again, it's not dependent on your circumstances. But if you feel like it can't, then we need to either redefine your words, we need to find a new way to be able to get you into a place where you feel like you can be those 3 words. Okay, last point. If you could only reach one customer, who would it be? One type of customer for the rest of your life. This is the only person that you're going to be allowed to sell to forever and ever and ever. Who is it? Who is it? We did this all the time, again, on radio with mortgage clients. So here's what's fun. You might think, well, I've already got 3 mortgage clients on that radio station. I've already got 3 mortgage companies who are advertising on the radio station. Why in the world would I want to add another mortgage, like my company, be on that station? I can give you a billion reasons why. Number 1, because this mortgage company is targeting first-time home buyers. This mortgage company is targeting refinancing, and that's all they really want to do. This mortgage company is totally talking to people who want to do what? They want vacation homes. They want to buy a second rental property. We target, this one's going to talk to people who have like a 600 credit score or more. This one's going to talk to people who have 800 credit score or more. We can absolutely tailor a campaign to one person that you're going to talk to for the rest of your selling days. You have to figure out exactly who that is. And if someone like me, or like you pay somebody to promote the living daylights out of you, and that one audience, you have to like it. So you have to take all of this information that we've been going through, the how, the who, the when, the where, the why, and say, who is the one person that I want to talk to for the rest of my life? And then we do this, and you've heard me say this before. This is all before we got to the part about the avatar, right? Then you have to actually create who that specific person is. When I was selling my radio, or not radio, sorry, when I was selling my Pageant Junkies course, it's different than who I was attracting for my Pageant Junkies audience, because I wanted to sell to the young woman who's participating in pageants. And the larger scope of everything that we talked about were people who have participated and are obsessed with, okay? 2 different audiences for that, but I've been doing this for like 12 years, so I could have a different audience. So create your avatar. If you haven't heard me talk about avatars before, send me a separate email and I'll talk to you about what that means. You have to get really specific. I named the girl Haley. She played the piano. She had 2 brothers and was the oldest. She went to a liberal arts college. Like, you got to do that. You got to do that. But I know some of you have heard me do that one before. Okay. So here's the other thing. You'll know when you're doing it right. Here's how you know when you're doing it right, because now that you guys have done this and you guys are going to put this into action, and you're going to start talking to those people on social media, and you're going to start trying to attract those people to your business, you're going to start trying to find who those people are, you're going to wonder, is this working? And part of the journey of becoming who you need to become as a business owner is trying it, tweaking it, failing at it, tweaking at it, failing at it, tweaking it, and finding success with it. And then actually having the success stop working, and then tweaking it again, and trying it again. That is just the way marketing goes, okay, until you can find exactly who you're going with. Here's how you know if you have nailed it, if you've got it correct. I call it the 50-50 swing. I call it the even side of the pendulum, right? Like a scale that tries to balance. I had an awesome experience. I was in high school. I was playing volleyball. I was on a away court. It wasn't our home court. I was playing at somebody else's high school. And I am not the best volleyball player. I was not the most athletically gifted, and I wasn't the most coordinated. I was good enough, And to be honest with you, I'm on the floor because I'm a leader. That's why I'm on the floor. Like, I had the skills and I could figure it out, but there were a lot of people who were a lot better at the game than I was. I was there because I was a leader, because I was a communicator, because I was a hardworking hog farmer's daughter who was going to be underestimated, and I could come through and break the stereotype. Okay. Sorry, I was like coaching myself right there for a second. Here's the deal. I was on this one side and we were in this heated match and it was a little crazy. And so I'm coming around the corner on the edge, and there's a referee. For those of you who don't know, you've got the whole, like the net here. There's a referee on this side and there's a referee on this side. And so I'm on this side, I come up from the back, and the referee here has to say to me, "Hey, 34, be careful. Don't get too out of control now." Because I am psyched for this match. Like, I'm thrilled. I think my sister is playing for the first time because somebody else was hurt. My sister was a freshman and she was starting. And so anyway, it was kind of a really awesome thing. And I was just like, ah! Okay, I'm smacking. My teammates used to laugh at me and say that I would smack their hands harder than when they fell on the court to be able to dig up a ball. Right? They're like, "Oh yeah, I broke this blood vessel, but that's from where Carrie smacked me on the hand. It had nothing to do with trying to dig the ball or to spike it or whatever." Okay, so this referee is now telling me, "Be careful. You got to contain that a little bit. It's getting a little out of control." I thought, well, that's interesting. I've never had that happen before. I've been playing volleyball for 7 years of my life, and no one has ever said that to me. I've played throughout junior high. So I make my way over, because you have to rotate, right, in volleyball. So I make my way over to this side because I told you there's a referee over here, and now there's a referee over here. I make my way over to here. And as soon as I get to that side of the court, which is just a couple of positions down, the referee over here literally says to me, "Excellent enthusiasm, 34. Keep it up." And I thought, okay. At the time, I didn't know I must be doing this correctly. But I've had so many other examples in my life where this actually happened. I did a Pageant Junkie survey. And in that survey, like I hope to get 100 responses. I got 200 responses, which was amazing. But it was so funny because I had the pendulum swing. It was the balance of both. I had people say, "I love state pageant season and when you do all these predictions and all the blogs that you write." And I had people say, "I hate state pageant season. I wish you wouldn't pit these girls against each other." I had people say, "The videos are incredible. Thank you so much for doing videos now." I had people say, "Yeah, I don't like the videos at all. I wish you'd go back to the blog and the podcast." I had people say, "Can you tell me like a little bit more about your pageant journey? Because I don't know where you came from or how this happened, and I'd love to hear about it." And I had people say, "This page was a whole lot more fun, and I was following along when I didn't know who was in charge of it." That's how you know you have struck the balance, because you have allowed somebody to give their opinion to you. They feel safe and comfortable giving it to you. And it doesn't matter if it agrees with you or not. It makes no difference whatsoever. And if you are getting both, congratulations. You have hit your audience, you have found the right niche, and you are talking to them correctly. If you are getting too much, "Oh my gosh, I love this," and no option of, "Well, maybe think about this or change this," then there's something wrong here. This is kind of a Pollyanna situation that's going to change, right? Or if all you're getting is negativity, like, "I don't know, you don't have any idea what you're doing. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what," okay, then you are not talking to the right people. These people don't want your product. When you have a balance of both, you have found it, because you have pushed the limits far enough, but people are still comfortable talking to you about it. Wow. I got a little bit of chills during this meeting because this is so much fun. Like I said, guys, I've just been percolating, and I'm very excited to be able to talk to you guys more on your individual one-on-one calls. I hope that you guys also remember that David is teaching about personalities, and he's doing that on Tuesday. If you are not yet registered, please find us somewhere to get registered on that Zoom call. We're on Meetup, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere. Just take a look and see if you can get signed up for that. The personality portion of this is amazing. He's going to tell you the reasons why you're not closing more business with people who aren't like you. It's a language. Like, everybody just has their own individual personality language, and you need to learn how to speak the language of your customers. And sometimes that's not the same language that you speak, because in reality, there's like 4 different languages. And you might be able to speak 2, but you don't know how to speak the other 2, and you are missing all of those people who speak those 2 languages. Okay, so please, please, please join us on Tuesday for that. There's also going to be a workshop that's taking place later in regards to personalities if you like what you hear on Tuesday. And of course, like I said, we have our individual one-on-one sessions. There are other big things that are going on with the GEC right now, and I can't tell you until they all start cooking together, but I'm thrilled. Thank you guys for joining me. If you have any questions about whatever happened today, just holler and send me an email. No big deal. You know that you can do that at any time. You can send me a text. Otherwise, I love you much, and we will catch up later. Thanks for joining me. See you guys. Okay, ending meeting now.